Hello everyone, it's Kari, and today I'm going to share some of my favorite tips for watercoloring on dark cardstock. We're going to be using this set from the Hedgehog Hollow with the giant moon. I cannot get enough of this image. I just really love it. The last card I did with this moon was a baby card for like a baby shower, but today we're going to glam it up just a little bit and add some jewelry to that moon. I'm first using the Embossing Buddy bag to prepare the black cardstock. You want to be sure to not skip this step because black cardstock is notorious for hanging on to embossing powder. And I'm using VersaMark ink. It's kind of like a sticky embossing ink so that I can go ahead and emboss this image with white embossing powder. This is a beautiful image, just embossed like this, but as I was looking at it, I noticed that there was some space still between that jewelry and the moon, and I wasn't really happy with that. And I'll show you a real quick close-up here. See, there's still some room between the jewelry and the moon. So I started over. I grabbed another piece of black cardstock, and this time I'm going to stamp them separately. So I left this in just to show you that you can, if it doesn't bother you. It wasn't really a lot of space, but enough to make me a little crazy. You could have also filled that in with a white gel pen, but I decided to just start over. So I am embossing again, just the moon this time, and I'll heat set that first, and then I'll put it back in the MISTI and go ahead and add the jewelry to it after it is heat embossed. And this time it worked out a lot better. So I really liked the placement of this much better. So I put that close. If you get a little embossing powder over the moon, just wipe it off with a clean, dry paintbrush before you heat set it, and it'll look perfect. So this made me a lot happier, and I liked it better. I did get a little embossing powder on a spot that I didn't like it, and so I just used my X-Acto knife to get that off. And I'm going to be using some pearl watercolors. These are my favorite pearl watercolors. You could also use a metallic watercolor or any of your watercolors that show up really great on a black or a dark cardstock. I'm using a water brush here, and I like this because it does not let a lot of water out. That's really important here because I'm using regular black cardstock. This is not watercolor paper. This is nothing special. It's just my black cardstock that I have in my stash here. And so I want to make sure not to use too much water. So that's why this works out really well. And now I'm just swatching out those colors so you can see what they look like on the dark water or on the dark cardstock. It is so beautiful. And so that's why I really like this set. They have a pearly shine to them, which I thought would be perfect for a moon. And so that's why I reached for these ones. So you can see all the colors here. The other great thing is that there's only 6 colors, not a lot to choose from, which sometimes is a really positive thing. I know that I do occasionally have full set syndrome. But when you only have 6 colors to choose from, it makes it so much easier than when you have, say, 80 colors. Just my opinion, sometimes it just works out really great on those days. You don't want to make all those decisions, right? I'm just going to fill in the moon now with the white pearl color. It kind of is dreamy looking. It offers a shine like the moon, and it just glows. That's the word, it glows. So I thought it would be perfect for the entire background of the moon. And you can see that I'm just putting mostly the color, not a lot of water, and then I'll fill in where it didn't get as dark. You can see above, on my swatch that I did above me here, that when they dry, they actually dry back a lot lighter with that pearl shining through. You can kind of see around the edge there of the red on the right, how the pearl just shines through. So what I found worked really well with these ones in particular is to go over them a number of times. So I would paint, for example, those green diamonds, and then I let that dry, and then I went over it again with more of the green pearl watercolor paint. It worked really well for this particular image. So you can see I'm just having a little fun here, filling in all the colors. And I thought that those in the middle, those shapes could look kind of like a heart. I am cleaning off my, by the way, I'm cleaning off my water brush in between the color changes with a towel just off camera there. But I thought that this shape here could look like a heart. They could be moon shapes, crescent shapes, but this kind of gave me a heart feeling, so I used the red on that. You could really just have so much fun coloring this in. It's a great image to color. If I didn't mention it before, this is from the Hedgehog Hollow January 2020 kit. It's been one of my favorites, and I know I say that on pretty much all the stamps, but I really do love coloring this one in. These pearl watercolors are looking great. So I'm just going to go through and keep filling that in, and then I'll go back over and add a second layer, sometimes a third layer to some of those. And I'll just skip over most of this here because it's just the same thing over and over. This is turning out beautifully. As I finish here, I will show you that we're going to add some stars to the background with these same watercolor paints. And there is a trick to doing that too. But here's a quick close-up. Look at that pearl shine to the colors. It really glows, and especially with that light reflecting off of it. Now this star stencil also came in the January kit, and I'm just going to place it over spots and color in a few of the stars with the paints. I'm trying to use mostly paint and not a lot of water, because if you have too much water, then it could go underneath the stencil, which it did for me, especially right here. So I only did a few of these watercolors, and then I added a few more subtle stars with gold Delicata ink. This added just a little bit of kind of a subtle shine in the background. So I did this all over the background. I kept adding some here and there and wherever I thought it needed some more stars, and I am specifically avoiding that crescent area inside the moon there on the right, because that's where I'm going to add my sentiment. So you can see there's some subtle stars all throughout, and here's where I'm going to add the sentiment. We will white heat emboss this, so I'm going to put it back in my MISTI to add the VersaMark again and white heat emboss that. It says, without the dark, we'd never see the stars. And that is so true, isn't it? I thought this was a perfect sentiment, because after we're done with this card, we're going to see a lot of stars. I love it. So real quick, just white heat emboss that. I use the VersaMark again and some white embossing powder, and so that it matches my moon. I know that it's small here so that it's hard to see. So that's why I wanted to let you know what that said. And now I have some little tiny stars that I cut out of this yellow glitter paper. This is the spring pack from Lawn Fawn. It's one of my favorites because all the glitter color papers in this pack are pretty much my favorite. I use them a lot. You might have noticed if you've been following me. So I cut out these mini stars, and I'm going to place them all over the background here, just as many as I feel like it needs, and then I'll add them, attach them with my favorite liquid adhesive and my pick-me-up tool here, and there you go, all attached. And now I have cut out a frame also, or actually just like a background little piece here of the glitter paper, just so that I have some of that tying the entire card together. You're just going to see a little bit of that, so you might have noticed that I did cut out the center portion so I could use that on something else. I didn't want to waste an entire rectangle of this glitter paper. It's too valuable. Now I'll attach that to a top folding card, and we're just about finished with this card here. I'm going to add some acrylic blocks here and let this dry for a few minutes, because that glitter paper, it just needs time to stick together. But look at all those layers of stars, the beautiful pearl shine on the moon. I I hope you love this project as much as I did, and please tell me if you have full set syndrome as well. If you have a lot of colors and what supplies that you have to have all of them for, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you subscribe to my channel, so I'll see you next time. I'll be back real soon with some more inspiration. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.